Listeners, welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, ladies and money queens. Welcome back to Women Behind the Millions, where we are talking all things divorce this season. What a big topic. Juicy, emotional, overwhelming, very trying time for women. And you've probably noticed a theme here within the show with this season. How you start your divorce process is not how you're going to end it. Who you become, that resilient, strong, empowered woman at the end. I want you to remember that. And as Lisa Lisser, one of our divorce coaches, within the book, Divorce Decoded, says, create that mission statement of how you want to go through the divorce. As Dr. Deborah says, you will never feel bad for taking the high road. And I'm saying all this because you might be like, there's no way I can do that at this point in my divorce. I'm going to read you something, though. Without love, the universe cannot program itself to compensate for whatever might have been taken from us. So if you feel in divorce, something was taken from you. Listen up, ladies. If we do not let go of our anger, it can block the miraculous universe, empowering the idea that we are victimized. And then we are recreating the scenario in which we are. We forgive then out of our own self-interest. I forgive you because I want out of my pain. I forgive you so that I can be free of what you did. I see beyond your mistake to the love in you so that I can see beyond the mistake to the love in me. Because only then can I have a miracle. Through love, through prayer, love is received. And through miracles, love is expressed. So if you feel that something was taken from you, or you are sitting in that anger, and we all know that anger, resentment, not forgiving people, it can feel like drinking our own poison, hoping that the other person will die. Just think this in your mind, and this is all according to the Course in Miracles, which is an amazing, amazing book. So go through prayer, love is received, and through miracles, love is expressed. And to set this stage up for tonight's episode, we're going to talk about the biggest asset that you probably own, the most emotional asset that you probably own, and what the heck do you do with it? And especially during high conflict divorce situations, if you and your spouse, your partner cannot agree on things, if there's young children involved, a lot goes into what happens with the marital home. Yes, what happens in the marital home, ladies. So I'm going to bring up my co-host, Donna Cates, the divorce source here at the Wealth Boutique. Hi, Donna. How are you tonight?
I am fabulous and super excited to be back.
Oh, look at that beautiful necklace you have on, all the colors. I just like seeing what you're going to wear for the episodes. Has it been fun dressing for them?
Yeah, of course.
I do. This is the hardest part of the job is, I got to get my hair and makeup. I got to do it. I got to do glam today, figure out what outfits I haven't worn yet. All that, but it's been fun co-hosting this season with you. What are some questions you have for tonight's guest?
I'm really excited to hear what she has to say about the house, because it is typically one of the most emotional assets that a couple ever has to deal with. And there are so many nuances to that there's no one size fits all, and everybody's emotions are different. So I'm curious to hear how she effectively communicates with both parties when they're in such emotional turmoil, and literally learning about the specific financial pitfalls that these couples don't even anticipate when they're getting ready to sell their house because of divorce.
Ooh, really good questions. At the time of recording tonight's show, all of our authors have submitted their chapters. I've been reading through them. Tonight's guest, amazing chapter. I have been sending out to some women in need. They needed this information before the book's out. That's why I can't wait for the book to come out. Divorce Decoded. Let's do a quick video on what Divorce Decoded is about.
All right, Money Queens, introducing our newest anthology book at Pink Fix Productions, Divorce Decoded, a manifesto for women navigating divorce and beyond, coming fall of 2024. For more information or to purchase, go to pinkfixproductions.com.
Look at that, Donna. What's it like seeing this baby, this book, Divorce Decoded, come to life?
It's surreal for me because this is something that I've been wanting to put out to the universe for some time, but just didn't have the bandwidth to do it. So now that it's actually being birthed, and I'm reading the stories that these women are sharing and just delving into all the knowledge that they have, I'm just super excited to be able to get this out into people's hands because anybody will benefit from reading it, whether they're thinking about divorce or not, because it's not an if, but a when. Some of us may be divorcing. So I think everybody's going to get something from it.
Yes. Or you saw it happen to your mom, your aunt, your sister, and you're like, how can I make sure that if it happens or doesn't happen, I'm financially okay, emotionally okay with the house, all of those different components for it too. That's why I love the book, because it covers all the facets of divorce, the legal, the emotional, even the wardrobe part of divorce too, your style. Well, tonight's guest, Karyn Porter, is a seasoned licensed real estate agent for over 17 years. She serves the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. She's concentrated on surveying the family law community and specializing in divorce, probate, and distressed properties. She is a certified divorce real estate expert. Woo-hoo. So let's bring Karyn onto the stage. Hello, Karyn. How are you?
Very well. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. I'm so excited for this book.
Oh, what was it like to write your chapter, Karyn?
I thought it would be very difficult. And then I realized I think I'd have 6 blogs in addition to this because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Especially with the house.
17 years of experience and then jam it into 2,500 words. It's just a taste. But not what you do.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I bet that there are a lot of people watching this show today that never knew that there was such a specialty in the real estate world.
Yes, it's true. We do have a lot of people who, and some at first, but when I first started getting, when I first got my CDRE designation, and when I was out there talking to family law attorneys in the community and telling them how I'm different, some of them would say that's not a thing. And then they would go out and research what it took to become a CDRE. And they're like, oh, this is a thing. This is something we need. And the family law community here has been so amazing. Like they have just said, we need you, our clients need you. And they have just opened the doors for us and said, you need to meet this person and you need to know these people. So that was something I wasn't quite prepared for because we've all heard stories about the family law community and the attorneys and how, gruff they are. And that has not been our experience at all. They're so happy to have a resource for their clients. They've just been very generous to us.
It's amazing. It makes me think it's not just educating the people going through the divorce, but it's the divorce professionals as well, that there are experts who've gone through training. And I would love, Karyn, for you to talk about what brought you into the divorce world and even finding that designation too.
So I'm very fortunate. When my husband and I had marital problems 30 years ago, I asked him to go to marriage counseling and he said he would. But the key to it was he was willing to participate, because what I have seen is from my friends and family is that they'll say one of two things happens. Either please come to marriage counseling. I want to fix this. I want to make this marriage right. And they go, this is not a me problem. This is a you problem. Right. So now what are you left to do with that? Like, what do you do with that? And you're heartbroken, right? Because you trust this person, you built this life together. Now they're telling you that this is your problem. It's not an us thing that we need to fix. The second thing that I see is people will say, yeah, I'll go to marriage counseling, and then they don't participate. And I think that's even more of, say, a dagger to the heart than someone who just says, I'm not willing to go. At least where they stand, rather than I'll go, but then they really don't want to participate. And I was very fortunate that my husband was not only willing to go, but was willing to participate. So,
yeah, because otherwise you're wasting time. You're wasting my time. You're wasting my money, my emotions, being hopeful that this could work out. And then for them just to sit on the couch as a dud, it's heartbreaking as well, Karyn. So you were able to get through it.
But I had 3 brothers that went through terrible divorces, and they had good representation. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but the information they were getting, especially about selling the house, they would call me and I'm like, no, I'm not licensed in your state, but no, like, ask your realtor this question and see what the answer is. And so then I was written into an order about 6 years ago, and I had no idea. It was a friend that was getting divorced, and she had taken my information and said, I want her written into the separation agreement. And so I get a phone call and says, hey, you're selling their house. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, luckily I had an experience that I really understood real estate and how do you sell a house in difficult circumstances. I had gotten my license and I kind of went through the meltdown. So I had been through short sales and foreclosures, and I've actually had somebody pass away in the middle of a transaction. So what does that look like? What does the real estate law say about that? So I do have a lot of people that go, gosh, I know that law, but I've never known anybody that's actually had to use it. So just time, being good in my career, being, sharpening my tools at every step and always wanting to learn really kind of prepared me for that. But what I wasn't prepared for was it had a court order. There was a restraining order for domestic violence, and there was personal property still left in the house. There was it was pending foreclosure. They had a loan modification, like anything you could imagine. It was there, and we got through it, and it was good. And even the opposing counsel called me after and said, how did you do this? These people couldn't even be they weren't even allowed in the same room together. And so that was where it really came from, that I'm like, people deserve better than this. They really do. So how can I make this better? And that's when I went in search of education and resources to help me be better with that. Yeah.
So you sought it out. That's incredible, Karyn.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the high conflict, you even talk about in your chapter that you make it a point to not let the buyers of the house know that this is a divorce case.
Absolutely. Right. Because when people learn that someone's getting a divorce, especially when they're selling a house, they think they're going to get a deal. Right. And it really weakens their leveraging position. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's not an issue. We have to sell the house, and I have to protect my clients, and I protect both of the sellers equally. And that's the goal. I need to get them the most money for the home so they can come out on the other side and maybe have a small little pot that they can go rent something, at the beach for a year if they can, while they're working, or just a peaceful place, someplace that might be peaceful for their children, especially. Like they need time to heal.
Their sanctuary, their new place. And a lot of time, right, Donna, this might be the only asset that they have to then live off of or put down for that new place, or to use for rental income.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So they're really grasping onto that. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about, I know Donna has got questions for you too, Karyn. We're talking about the quit claim.
Oh, yes.
This eye opener. Ladies, you have to listen up to Karyn right now. Talk about the quit claim piece of paper
Yeah.
that somebody signed and then called you after in a panic.
So a lot of times, and I want to preface this by saying that women, we are the ones who usually step out of the working world to actually take care of the family and take care of the home. You get married, you decide to have children together, and are we going to pay for childcare, or is it better for someone to stay home? And you've made those decisions as a couple, right? But then what happens is that when women are home and the marriage starts crumbling, I hear the feedback that I get a lot, especially being a second Saturday leader, and we can touch on that in a minute, but I get a lot of feedback from women that say, well, I didn't contribute financially to this house or anything in it. And I remind them that's not true, that your time at home, you stepping out of the workforce and taking care of children, allows your partner to go out and achieve the goals that they're achieving, whether it be financial or titles or whatever it is. But what I hear happens is that the spouse comes back and says, well, the house is mine because you've not contributed to it financially. And the shame that women feel, and a lot of times they go, oh, they're right. And I even hear this, they say that to me. And I'm like, well, that's not true. That's not true. Again, I go back to you had to be at home taking care of home and hearth, doing the laundry, doing the dishes, so he could making dinner so he can go to work, or she, whoever your partner is. But you do have value. And even though there's not a dollar amount, like you're not getting paid every week, you have financial value and you have a financial interest in the home. So what a lot of people try to get them to do is say, you haven't contributed financially, so you need to sign this because the house is mine. And it's called a quit claim deed. And I'll talk about the caller. I got a call one day from a lady who said that she had signed a quit claim deed, and she gave me a little background information about how he had kind of bullied her into signing this. And she didn't realize what she was signing. And I asked her, I said, are you on the mortgage? And she said, I am, even though she had been home for several years, but she was still on the mortgage. But the mortgage payments have been made. But I asked her, are you still on the mortgage? And she said, yes. And then I had to tell her, by signing this paper, she essentially signed over any financial rights to that home. That includes the equity that was gained during the time of the marriage, but she was still responsible for paying for this house.
That hard pill to swallow, Karyn.
It brings tears in my eyes thinking about it now. And I said, I don't know how you can fix this, but I'm going to give you a name of a sharp attorney, and every attorney is a little bit different. So when I hear situations that people bring to me and say, I need an attorney, I kind of want to know a little bit of the situation, but she needed a great white shark is what she needed for that. Because once you sign that, if you sign it in front of a notary, there's not much you can do about it.
And that's the first manipulative tactic he does.
Yes.
There's going to be more that follows it. So you're
yes. Yes. So that's the first thing ever out of my mouth when people come into like a second Saturday, which is a workshop for women who are going through the divorce, where they can come, and there's usually a family law attorney. There's a financial planner, right, Donna? And then in ours, we have a realtor and a lending professional, and then we follow up with a therapist. We try to treat the whole person, the legal, financial assets, and then the emotional. We try to end with the good, reminding them who they are, and they will come through this. It's going to be hard, but you have a community, whether you know it or not. You do have a community, and we're there for them. So,
yeah. Amazing resources, Second Saturday workshops. Donna's runs her own secretary workshops. You have been for how many years, Donna?
We're in our 15th year now.
15th year. And Karen, you've been doing this for 15 years as well, right? The divorce.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. So you've seen a lot of different things. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Donna, because I know you have some questions for Karen as well.
I would love to ask this. So these humans that are deciding that they can no longer live together, when this happens, there's typically an abundance of emotions, good, bad, ugly, all of it. So tell me, how do you manage working with those two people? And especially when they can't even be in the same room together, how do you actually work with them to manage the emotions and get the job done?
I get this question a lot, actually, because as realtors, like, our instinct is to know our clients inside and out, and we know their birth dates and their favorite color and whether they like red wine or Orange Crush, and in a divorce, I'm an actual trained neutral. And what that means is I have done a lot of study on how to de-escalate situations. And usually when I first meet people, they really hate everyone. It's usually at the very beginning because they have to sell the house to be able to go through the divorce process. They need to separate, or it's at the very end, and usually somebody doesn't want to sell the home. So there's a lot of emotion. One of the things I find that is extremely helpful is to treat them equally. Like, they may not understand that at first, and to also be honest with them, like, this is what the court order says. And I know you signed it, but do you have any questions about what that means? I'm not an attorney, but I know what it says about real estate. So I can actually translate that, because a lot of times I'm written in by a judge or an attorney that says, Karyn Porter is going to handle the sale should you not be able to refinance by X date. Okay. And they don't know me. Usually everybody knows about 10 attorneys. Like, if you throw a stick, you can hit about, or not attorneys, but realtors, you throw a stick and you can hit 10 of us, right? But I treat people, whether they like it or not, the same. And they always want to tell me their story. And that's okay. I'm a lot cheaper than an attorney. If you go back and want a storyteller and have therapy with your attorney, they're going to charge you $350, $450 an hour. But the reality is it doesn't usually have any bearing at all on the sale of the home. And so I think one of the things that I do is to treat them with respect, because usually one partner, usually somebody's not been treated as an equal, is what I hear in a divorce, and I think that's a contributing factor to it. You're no longer an equal partner. You're now, whether it's a housewife or a house dad, we see a lot of that too. But just treating them with respect and helping educate them so they can make a good choice. One of the things I do here is, especially when we have offers, is people say, oh, well, what does Mike say about it? Well, I just tell them, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What do you think? And for a lot of people, they're stunned. They sit there and look at me like, you really do care what I have to say? I'm like, yeah. And so does the law. So in my state, it only takes one to purchase a home. So only one person has to be on the mortgage. But if you're married, it takes two to sell it. So no one can sell the house out from underneath you, which was so gut-wrenching about the quitclaim deed that she signed. She didn't realize that she had equal footing in that respect. But she found out after the fact, So I hope that kind of answered your question. It's just treating everybody fair and equally. And this is what the law says, in regards to the sale of the house.
And Karyn, what I really appreciate about your approach is that you are treating these people as human beings and getting to know them and how they communicate. All of that is so impactful as a professional, understanding and for them to be understood and heard and respected, that's big for anybody. But yeah, I love it. I would love to hear a little bit more if you could give us maybe a couple of examples of specific financial issues or financial impacts that people weren't expecting. They know that they're going to have to sell the home, but what are some of the unexpected things that happen that they're just not prepared for because they don't know?
So something that I do see a lot in various levels is that for one party, they want to keep the home. This is where they brought the children home. They built this house together. They picked out every finial or wallpaper, whatever it is. But for one person in the marriage, they usually can't get far enough away from the house because it's representative of everything that's been bad, whether it's the dreams that have died or, that those situations, So I see that because of that, the home is often neglected, like the maintenance on it. Mm-hmm. We get a lot of feedback over the last couple of years about, well, let's just put it on the market. Somebody will buy it. I'm like, a couple of years ago, that was probably true. It was true. You could literally talk about selling your house and have 20 offers. Buyers are very smart now, but they expect the home to be at least maintained. I'm not saying it has to be the latest and greatest, marble flooring or, paint colors, but at least it has to be maintained. And what I find is a lot of people make the mistake of not maintaining the home. Interestingly enough, I met with we call them the in-spouse, the one who's living in the home. And in our state, again, they have to be separated for a year and a day before they can get divorced, which that financial burden on some families trying to maintain two homes is very difficult.
Sure.
But that's a requirement here. So usually we have an in-spouse and an out-spouse. And the out-spouse always feels like they're left out of the loop and they're going to be left out of the decision making. And so when I give them the same information, I have the same conversations with them that I do with the in-spouse. I feel like the mood in the room, if you will, like it changes towards me because they realize that I do care what they say and I'm going to keep them in the loop. But the in-spouse one time had said to me, I'm like, well, the beds need to be weeded. We've got to get people to even want to come in the house, So it was a lot of exterior, just little maintenance, flower beds weeded. Maybe we need mulch. The house needed to be power washed. It was fall, so the leaves were falling. And he looked at me and said, I'm not going to pay for somebody to do this, and I can't do it. And I looked at him and I said, I'm sorry, what? And he said, well, I don't have any equipment to do this. And I said, you don't? And he's, no. I go, well, how has this been done? He goes, well, I've been borrowing my parents. I'm like, well, you might have to borrow your parents again to get the house back up to, I call it ground zero, and I said, so what happened? And he said, oh, well, I gave her the lawnmower and the weed eater, and he gave her all the equipment but it was written into the court order that he was to maintain the house. I said, okay. I said, so we had to do a little bit of problem solving on that. But the home maintenance is usually the biggest deterrent because there are certain things that you have to do, but that's the one thing they don't want to do. Mm-hmm. They either don't have the time because they've been a single parent a lot of times.
Sure.
Or they don't have the kids all the time, but they work two jobs because they're trying to keep two households afloat,
Mm-hmm.
So, but the home maintenance is a big thing that affects the bottom line in the sale of the home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, Karyn. And that's a long period of time, too.
It is.
Your household and your sanity as well. Before it, is it typically the woman who wants to stay in the house, would you say, Karyn? Or is it 50-50?
Let's say 70-30.
70-30?
Yeah, women. And I think the women want to because they usually are the ones that are maintaining the children still.
Okay.
want to keep them in the school. They want to keep them in the neighborhood. They want to keep them with their friends. So it's an emotional attachment from that aspect, and so it could be that was their dream home. And I don't know if you read this, but there was a friend of my daughter that I had watched these parents battle it for 10 years over the house and literally everything else. It was so bad. I asked her, I said, were you sad when you had to sell the house? And I asked her recently, it was right before I started writing the book, because I kind of wanted to touch on it a little bit. And she said, no, actually, I was so glad to move out of that house. And that surprised me because her parents had fought so fiercely over the house. And she said, I just remember coming home every day knowing that there was going to be a fight. And it didn't matter if they were trying to hide it, standing out in the garage, or anyway, she said, I heard all of it. She said, I was so happy to leave that house. And I was like, wow. I mean, that was very profound for me, because I hear, and probably you hear this too a lot, Donna, that people want to keep it. They want to keep the house for the kids.
Yes.
And it never even occurred to me that to the child, it was just traumatic every time she went home.
What a good perspective.
Right.
To give the parents the freedom, the options that we will be okay if we move. In fact, I prefer that.
Right.
One off. Amazing, Karyn.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of just kept going. Like, we need to take a quick break. Karyn, this has been fascinating, dealing with high conflicts, talking about the quit claims, finding the right attorney before you send any paperwork, especially in the house. The house being the biggest asset and the most emotional asset. And what do you do when you're in that separation, hell in the hallway, as your other realtor says, right? That in between phase, between with your household, figuring this all out, when you're such a huge support. Huge support. We're going to take a quick break, ladies, and then we're going to talk about Trent's divorce tips for Trent. And as you can tell, she's very knowledgeable on. She's not one to miss it, ladies. So we'll be right back.
At Pink Fix Production, your story matters, your voice matters, you matter. It is a privilege to hear your story because of the truth behind it. But it also takes a courageous woman to be bold enough to tell their story, knowing some will judge you, but most, yes, most, will applaud you. We want you to step into being a thought leader and making change in this world, because let's face it, lady, you won't feel satisfied until you make your mark on the world. We accomplish this through several forms of media, podcasts, book publishing, magazines, TV shows, and events. We take you through our 5-step proven process to becoming a thought leader, from getting clarity over your mission, building confidence to use your voice, leveraging the media to declare your mission, aligning with strategic partners, and how to launch your legacy. Yes, we build a platform with you so you can ignite your revolution.
All right, ladies, we are back. The best part of the show. Thank you, Karyn, for being so vulnerable too, sharing your history, helping out, going to couples therapy, your brothers. Your story is such a privilege for all of us to hear. So, one, thank you, and for the work that you do on the divorce side as well. Well, Donna, it is time for Karyn to share her divorce tip with us. Karyn, what do you have for us today?
I think the biggest thing is for you to build a village, build a community. I believe that trust is at an all-time low during a divorce, especially really when the attorneys are brought in, when everyone is first brought in. It's, this person that you planned on spending the rest of your life with and that you trusted is no longer there for you. So if that trust is no longer there, who else can I trust? But there really is a community out there of people who care about your physical, financial, and emotional well-being, and just be open to those that reach out to you and create that village.
And there's so many times, you could probably get this too, Donna, and I'm sure you as well can. Who do they usually ask the questions to? Their spouse. And then when that person's gone, like, am I just going to go and say in Google, trying to Google fix things, finding these things out? That's where the team steps and the village steps in so that I usually will ask them, well, what do I do with the Social Security? What do we do with the house? Well, how should we invest? That's what the village is for as well. Donna, you've built a team with your second Saturday workshops as well. How do you see the team taking shape for these women going through divorce?
Well, it's interesting because most of us rely on our neighbors, our friends, the folks we go to church with. And the unfortunate thing is we always value everybody's opinion, especially if they're important to us, that we don't know if their circumstances are similar to ours. So it's kind of a dangerous thing to do. And I always suggest that women, if anybody's got advice to offer you, be opening to listening to it. But just remember that it may not be specific to your situation. And that's where having those professionals that are trained to work in each of their respective fields are so important, because they've been in that sandbox. They know all of the different circumstances and outcomes, and we can help manage it to your situation versus the community at large. So yes, having that village is very empowering.
Oh, all good points, all those outside influences. And I think the big thing too is, ladies, helping them stay focused and prioritizing, because you're right. When you get that outside noise coming in, it's like distractions. Oh, pretty bird, right? Going in all these different ways instead of sticking to, we do have a plan. Let's execute the plan and stay focused on it along the way too. And I'm sure for you, Karyn, right? This is the goal. Let's get the most equity out of this house. That is usually the goal, and that's going to benefit both of you. So let's not get stuck in the nitpicking. Let's keep focused on what this outcome is that we want to have as well. How about the divorce trend that you're noticing? So both of you, 15 years in the divorce space, specializing, having that expertise on helping people going through divorce, high conflict, mediation. You both are mediators in your own rights as well. What are you noticing, Karyn?
So I think the biggest trend in divorce right now are the silver divorces. They are the fastest growing, and those are people that have been married longer than 25 years. Some of them are very contentious. Others of them are like, they got done with raising the kids and they're just done. They're kind of better friends, and they're going to co-grandparent very well, but they're not in for the fight, battle of it all. It's just very interesting, because that was something that really came out of COVID that no one ever expected.
Yeah, even more than ever. And you notice, right, the kids, they take up so much of your time. And then when they're gone, like, are we still those same people when we met each other decades ago? We have different interests, different hobbies. And it just seems less faux pas for them to get divorced.
Yes.
I remember asking my father years ago, his dad passed away when he was 62, just 8 months into retirement. Wow. And he always said that his parents fought like cats and dogs. Do you think they would have gotten to, like, if it was this day and age, think of how many marriages probably wouldn't still be together if it wasn't such a faux pas back then to get divorced. But do you notice, you two, Donna, seeing from COVID, this changing a lot?
Yes, a trend. Actually, the overall statistic that I've heard recently is that on average in the U.S., divorce rates have gone down to 40% versus 50%. Wow. For that demographic of 50 years old or older has gone up to 70%. So it is a tremendous shift.
70%. Wow. That blows my mind. And you're talking about, and so we have Donna on the finances and Karyn on the housing piece. Getting a mortgage in retirement is a different ballgame as well. Let's just talk a little bit of a few minutes about what do you need to do if you aren't working, you don't have that W-2 employee income, that perfect cookie cutter version to get pre-approved for a mortgage. What do you need to do to set that up?
I have some wonderful certified divorce lending professionals. That's my first step. And in all honesty, even when I'm meeting with family law attorneys, because I'm sure Donna sees this too, is that when people come in, they're like, and I want the house. I want to keep the house. And that's fine. But the question is, and especially for silvers, should you keep the house? Do you need a 4,000 square foot house? It's just you. Do you want to maintain a 4,000 square foot house with, 3/4 of an acre in an estate neighborhood? Do you want to maintain that? So I encourage attorneys to reach out to the financial planners who understand the divorce lending side, or a certified divorce lending professional. Because honestly, if somebody comes to me and says they really want to keep the house, and I'm at the beginning, here, talk to this person or this person, and let's see if you can keep the house, because there are very steep requirements to getting a loan at any age anymore, right?
It's true.
And that's a trend that we're seeing right now, too, with interest rates being so high. A lot of people are hating the fact that they're having to sell a home. And then even if they're able to go buy a new home, they're having to pay these exorbitant interest rates, or what we now view as exorbitant, on the new mortgages. So that creates a whole nother stress level for people that are divorcing.
There's a nerd moment here. The historical average for interest rates, since we've been keeping track of it, is 8%.
That's why.
But we had this really abstract, crazy low, should never have been interest rate, and this is what, when you think about it, the younger generation, they've only heard people talk about the low interest rates, below 5, below 6, like 7's horrible. I'm going to clutch my pearls, right? It's horrible, but it should never have been there. So, but houses have never been $400,000 starter homes.
And I'm going to share this fact with you. This will age me for sure. When I bought my first vehicle, my car loan was 15%.
15%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, very different world. You're right. The millennials, and I'm a millennial, Gen Z, the alphas, yeah, they think interest rates are sky high. But as you pointed out, Karyn, they are not. How about, do you notice this trend at all? I'm just curious. Since COVID, virtual working, people moving to different states.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being a big one.
Yeah. They want to move toward, before you had to go move wherever the job was, and I'm actually my husband and I moved 24 years. All of our family is back in the Midwest. And we have been in Charlotte for 24 years. 2 of my 3 children were born here. But when people ask me where I'm from, I tell them I'm from the Midwest. They know I'm a Yankee. They just don't know where I'm from. And they go, well, you're nice. So we figured you were from not the Northeast. And I'm not. My sister-in-law is the most lovely person. She's from the Northeast. My friends are. But it's funny that they go, oh, but you're nice. You're from the North. You're nice.
I'm from and live in New Jersey.
Right now. And I
get it.
Funny.
We're tough on the outside, but once you crack us, we're big softies.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That's interesting because, I don't hear a Southern accent on you at all, Karyn.
Oh, I'll say y'all every once in a while.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm yelling at my children. I'll go, or my clients, when they're saying something and they're not listening, I just go, y'all.
Really?
And then they go,
y'all.
Wow. I don't ever bless their heart.
Oh, that's one of my. I gotta start doing that more because up here people wouldn't even know what that kind of the hidden connotation behind that.
Yeah.
It's Karyn. All right. Well, we're wrapping up our time with Karyn Porter. She is an amazing real estate agent who focuses on divorce and just the sale of the marital home, which is very different too, where you're not helping them with their next purchase. You're stepping in, whether it's high conflict or whatnot. Huge resource as well. We have one more question for you, Karyn.
Sure.
What makes you a woman behind the millions?
I love it. I think the fact that I'm passionate about what I do, not because of the money, but But to be in this world, to work in this world, you really have to have a calling for it. It's humbling. You know, I did have someone call me on Thanksgiving and thank me. This Thanksgiving, they were thankful for me. And you want to talk about how humbling that is.
Amazing.
And so I think it's the fact that I continue to treat them as people, even though I have to be very business and I have to be neutral and I have to be a professional. I never forget that there's a family attached to that transaction.
Oh, beautifully said, Karyn. I don't think you could have said it any better. There's a family attached to that transaction. And I know one of our advisors, Lauren, who a dear friend of Donna's as well at the Wealth Boutique, and she always said, I measured my success based on how many clients said I love you. Like, that's just the kind of people that we draw into this community. And now, Karyn, you're part of our community here at Pink Fix Productions as an amazing partner for the Wealth Boutique to send clients to as well. So thank you so much, Karyn. Thank you, Donna, for how did you two meet? We didn't even get into that. Real quick, how did you two cross each other?
Second Saturday, I saw her out.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you did, because Karyn, you are incredible. Thank you so much for the work you're doing. Feeling so incredible chapter. And everyone be on the lookout. Divorce Decoded coming early fall 2024, right around the corner. It's at the editor as we're recording this. So thank you, Donna, for co-hosting this season with me. And thank you, Karyn, for being on Women Behind the Millions. And we will see you all next Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all for tuning in and supporting us, and get these resources out to women who need them, and women who need them, who are going through this process or just starting it on the outside of it. Get them in front of us. Get them into our world and our community. All right, ladies, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Hey, Money Queens, looking to get your wealth to that next level, 7, 8, 9 figures? Follow us on Instagram at Pink Fix My Money and at Women's Wealth Boutique for more millionaire money